Welcome to the Virginia is for Laughers podcast, brought to you by X2 Comedy. If you're looking to get more out of your Shenandoah Valley experience, then this is the podcast for you. You'll meet interesting people, the comedians that perform here, and find out more about what you can do and see. Whether you live here or plan to visit, listen to explore what helps make up our unique slice of heaven. Now here's your host, Dawn Davis Womack.
Hello, Laughers. I'm thrilled to introduce you to Spencer Hatcher from Broadway, deemed as the greatest country music artist and band to come out of Virginia. Spencer was originally a bluegrass musician that had a record deal with Nashville before the pandemic, then during switched to country music, quickly gaining over 600,000 followers. This coming August, he'll be opening up for Tracy Byrd at the Prince William County Fair Grandstand Show. Welcome to the show, Spencer. It's great to have you on today.
I'm very excited to be on, Dawn. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, this is such a super blast. I just met you recently and I couldn't be more excited. We met at the Living Waters Freedom Initiative Gala at Horizon's Edge. I was opening or hosting for them, and it was the first time I got to hear your music with your brother Connor, and y'all are fantastic. I am looking forward to hearing so much more about your story and sharing it with the Laughers. So thanks again from the bottom of my heart for coming on today.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It was certainly great meeting you, Travis, the guy that had really put the whole thing on. He told me all about you. He said, she's going to be here and you got to talk to Dawn because she's a great woman and she's got a fantastic podcast. I was like, well, I look forward to seeing her. So it was certainly great meeting you, and I'm very happy to be here today.
Yes, this is so great. I mean, I've been watching some of your videos. I have to tell you, honestly, I thought this might be the next Elvis people. I mean,
gosh, that'd be exciting.
That would be exciting. Well, you're very young, and so there's a lot ahead of you. I noticed on your social media that there are posts where you're playing music with your brother Connor, and then there are other posts advertising you and the Old Sun Gang. Are those one and the same?
Yeah, they are for the most part. So like with TikTok, there are videos where it's almost always me and Connor, if it's not just myself. And Connor's 3 years younger than me. But generally what I do is I just promote my music all together. So Connor will help me whenever I need him to help, and he'll come and play along. But then the full band is myself, Connor, and then my drummer, Austin, and we're the Old Sun Gang. And we go out, that's like the full band, and that's the kind of shows that we do. But there are times when people say, well, I want music or I want a band, but we only want like a duo act. So in that case, just me and Connor will go out, because he and I have been playing music together for like 12 years. So there's not much I can do that Connor won't know as far, musically, like if I'm going to change to a chord at an odd time. Connor just knows it. Same with me. We've just played so long together that he and I can go out and do a duo show like it's nothing. We don't even have to practice. We'll just go out there and put on the show. And generally in that instance, I'll just market it as the Hatcher brother duo, just because Connor knows, or everybody will know that it's just going to be me and Connor. But the band that I'm really pushing and that I want to take, to the next level is Spencer Hatcher and the Old Sun Gang. And then that's all three of us right now.
Okay, great. Well, how and when did you all form that band then, the Old Sun Gang?
Well, so it kind of started out just me and Connor, actually. I came back home from college in March of 2020, right when COVID hit. And I knew that I wanted to continue to pursue music. And it wasn't until I had that first viral video in July that I started having phone calls come in. I didn't call anybody. They started calling me saying, hey, we've got a local restaurant or something like that. We'd like for you to just come out and play live music on, because we just saw your video on TikTok or Facebook. So I said, okay. And so I had to come up with a name for the band or whatever we would be doing in August. I had 1 month to prep, and I only knew like 13 songs at the time. And I had to get 2 hours worth of material up in a month. And that was terrifying, but I knew it's what I wanted to do. So Connor and I worked extremely hard in a month's time to prepare for the show. on August 7th of 2020. And that was our first show day. And so I just decided that we would start going by Spencer Hatcher and the Old Sun Gang, knowing that I wanted to expand the band and that name would stick with time. And so that's kind of how it formed. It was by needing a band name, and the circumstances kind of forced me to create something.
Wow. So that was the first show was just you and your brother.
Yes, ma'am.
And then this cousin came along as your drummer. When did that happen?
Well, and he's just a friend. He's not even related to us.
Okay.
So it wasn't long. It was maybe mid-September or maybe even early September. It was like a month after we'd started doing shows. And of course we'd continued to put out TikTok videos and Facebook videos. And as I was gaining recognition on my channel, I guess it started getting out to more people. And my drummer, Austin, he said, he sent me a message one day and he's like, "Hey, I noticed you're just a duo act. Would you like to have a drummer?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I'd love to have a drummer." And so we kind of gave him an audition, and he checked out. And he was one of few people that fit right in with me and Connor, because me and Connor, I don't know if you say high strung is the right word, but lots of energy. It's kind of like go, go, go all the time.
Yes.
And especially with me, I love to work. If there's very little time where I'm not working or doing something, and Austin is able to fit right in and keep up with the pace. And I mean, he's funny, we really couldn't have had a better person come on. And so it was maybe a month after we started playing shows, and he's like, "Hey, I'd like to come in and try out." And so, like I said, we maybe had 2 or 3 shows, just a duo act. And then we went full band, I guess, with the drummer.
Yeah. I'm interested in where Austin comes from. So if he is a friend, is he a childhood friend, or did you go to high school with him? Where did you meet this Austin?
Well, so it's kind of funny. I didn't know him. He knew of me, but he's coming from Lexington, Virginia. So it's about 55 minutes to an hour away from my house. But it turns out we were going to the same college at the same time, East Tennessee State University. I was in the Bluegrass program and he was in the country music program. Now, technically they're one, but if you're there for the country bands, you're not really around the Bluegrass bands. But I was 2 years ahead of him. So I graduated with a business degree from ETSU in December of 2019. And Austin graduated in May of 2021. So we were there together, I guess, for about 2 years together. Now, I don't recall seeing Austin there, but he said he recalls seeing me from time to time, but we never knew each other. And then when he reached out in September, of course, we had that connection. We both went to ETSU, and actually his mother did as well. Oh, wow. So I guess in a way, we had a lot in common. We knew a lot of the same people, which made it pretty neat too. I don't know. We just really hit it off, and we're both from Virginia, just an hour apart from each other. So yeah, it was pretty neat.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's what brought you to Tennessee then. You went to college there, graduating in 2018, but not back here till 2020. I imagine somewhere in that 2-year span is where that record deal happened in Nashville. Can you tell us the story about that? Yeah,
well, actually, I graduated in December of 2019. So it was almost 20. But yes, I did go to East Tennessee State University in Johnson City. I went in the fall semester of 2016 and I studied business and music. So what took me there initially, I wanted to go to a place where I could graduate and then go to the military. I always wanted to be a pilot.
Wow.
For the Navy. Always wanted to. My dad, now he's a pilot as well. So we grew up with airplanes, and my dad still flies jets today, private jets. But that was my plan all along. Music was not really what I'd planned on doing. It was going to be go military after you graduate from college and go in as an officer. And ETSU had an ROTC program. But as I was there studying business and saw how great the music program was, I started to kind of distance myself from the idea of military directly out of college to focusing more on music. And the more that I was in this program, which it's just a fantastic program, I encourage just anybody that knows they want to go to college and they love music, but they don't really know what they want to do, go to ETSU, because the windows of opportunity that you have there just from meeting the people. I mean, like Tony Rice's brother, Wyatt Rice, is a guitar instructor there. There's
Wow.
people from the Fritz Family Band. Rhonda Vincent, her daughter works there as a teacher. And so Rhonda comes all the time. We met JD Crow. It's a ton of people that I could go on about. But the opportunity that comes from that music program is tremendous. And so while I was studying that, I started to realize just how much I really loved music on a more of a professional level, because I had voice instructors at that point. And by my last year there, I was in 4 bands. 3 were school bands, and then 1 was the professional bluegrass band. And I landed that spot in February. It was February. I don't recall if it was 2018 or if it was 2019, but I was in that band for a year and a half playing professionally bluegrass. I had a full-time spot as the banjo player. I landed that spot, and while I was still in school, and it took me all over. I mean, we started doing some mini tours. We went all the way up to Maine and played some big showcases there. We were at the IBMA as showcase artists. We went to Spigma in Nashville as showcase artists. And we did a lot of things that I never would have really had the opportunity to do if I had not gotten in that band. And one of those things was we acquired the record deal in Nashville with 615 Hideaway Records. And they were pretty much like the newest and biggest thing that was coming to the bluegrass market, because it was a bunch of guys that moved from country music that had done some pretty notable things in country music, like recorded Conway Twitty and George Jones. They'd done some stuff with Randy Travis. And so instantly, right then, I was interested in just speaking to them about country music. I'd started to, in my later years of college, I'd started to really develop an interest for country music. I loved how it sounded, how you had to sing to do it, which of course the accent comes natural for me, but the level of, I guess, professionalism that comes with singing country music, it's a little bit different from bluegrass. And so this record deal that we had, well, I instantly had guys I could talk to about being in country music. I was like, man, what was this like? And it was really neat to be able to speak with them, but also get the experience of being in Nashville and recording and doing bigger live performances with multi-cameras. So the experience that I got being in that band was tremendous. And it helped me prepare for a lot of the things that I've done since I quit bluegrass, or more so just got out of that band and started my own band back here in Virginia. But once COVID hit, I had a job lined up as a financial advisor that I was going to go into full time. And they started speaking the first time of COVID and shutting down and mask mandates, and nobody knew what was happening. It was March of 2020. And I remember there were 3 people in the state of Tennessee that had COVID. And that was like a huge thing. People couldn't believe it. They were like, oh my gosh, it's in Tennessee. There's 3 people, 3 confirmed cases. And so I was like, well, everything's going to shut down. So I guess I'm just going to go back home until I can get a better understanding of what's going to happen. Because I was about to sign on with a bigger apartment, and I knew that I didn't want to do that if I wasn't going to have a job. So I moved back home, and it wasn't but maybe 2 weeks, and I'd built up the courage to do what I'd seen a lot of my friends do in college, which was sit in front of a camera and sing a song while playing the guitar. So I said, well, I guess I'll do it. And I did. I finally got enough courage to do that. And it turned out to do well enough that I figured I would do another video, which at the time, my goal was just, if I could just get 1,000 views in 24 hours, then that would be really, really huge for me. And I'll keep on doing it for those 1,000 people in 24 hours. And I think that first video actually wound up doing 1,000 views, but it was like 30 hours or 36 hours, whatever it was. And I just said, man, if I could do this and get 1,000 views in 24 hours, I'm going to keep on doing it. And the second video actually, I think, was just like an hour off. It was like 25 hours. But by the third, I hit it in like 19 hours. And then the one after that, it just started going quicker and quicker until my seventh video that I put out was Johnny Cash video. It was Folsom Prison. And I had one of my longtime buddies from middle school over, and we did Folsom Prison. And that one started doing 1,000 views per hour. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is insane, because 4 hours had passed. And it was already the highest viewed video that I'd had. It was at 4,000 views. And it continued to creep up like that to the point where I almost did not post it on TikTok. And TikTok was so new at this time, I don't even know if it was a year old. It was July of 2020. So yeah, I guess it was just a year old, but it was still like the newest social media that there was. But I was so amazed at what was happening on Facebook. There were hundreds of comments. There were shares racking up. And the views were going up so fast that I almost didn't post it on TikTok. And it wasn't until maybe right before I went to sleep that I decided I would post it on TikTok. And when I woke up the next morning, it had surpassed 1.3 million views on TikTok. And it was over like 150,000 likes on TikTok.
Wow.
And I had gone from 24 followers to over 10,000 followers in 9 hours of sleeping. It was insane. I couldn't believe it. And so then I had things happening on Facebook. I had things happening on TikTok. And from there, I made it my absolute goal to do something with music and to be somebody. And so that's what I've done ever since July 13th of 2020. That is all I focused on.
Wow. Yeah, I went to your TikTok, Spencer. I need to take lessons from you. You and your brother have got it down. I'm telling you, I love it. You are fun, funny, and talented. You've been described as the banjo picking TikTok sensation with your brother on bass by an old red farm truck singing bluegrass songs. How do you come up with these video ideas? Tell us a story about that.
Well, really, it goes all the way back to school projects. I mean, like middle school projects, when they would say, go home and create a video. Back then, we did a lot of video projects. I don't even know if they do that anymore, but they would say, apply it to the lesson. And so you would go home with some of your team members or whatever it would be, and you would start to film and create videos. I always did so well on those because I don't know. I guess I've just always been creative. Whenever I was assigned that kind of project, I was like, man, this is an opportunity to really make something fun. You know, I was never a minimalist. I always liked to go past the line. I was the kid where if they said write a paragraph, I wrote a page. And that's just because I don't know, I've always cared. And I've just always been like that. But with the videos in school, I mean, you know, they would be 20, 25 minutes long. And I would have script, I would have choreography, I would have certain movements here and there just for a school project. And so once TikTok happened, it was very easy for me to start making some skits and create, I guess, like somewhat of a character in a way. But I just have a tremendous amount of fun on TikTok. You know, we've done a couple of skits and they seem to do well because a lot of times people, they follow your page initially for music, but then if you put out a skit too that kind of applies to the country scene or to the bluegrass hillbilly stuff, people just eat it up. They love it. And there's a lot less criticism, I think, than what I was expecting. Because when I first put out the first skit, I was like, well, it's either going to be a hit or a miss. People are either going to hate it or they're going to love it. And it was really the first time that I ever did anything bluegrass. I just said one day of playing the banjo, and it was slow and I was just in normal dress, an outfit. And then I said 1 month of playing the banjo, and then you've got a flannel shirt on and maybe a little bent bill hat, and you're playing a little bit faster. And then I said 10 years of playing a banjo, and it was me in Daisy Dukes, suspenders, flannel shirt, hat, and we just tear it up. And Connor's there. That was one of Connor's first appearances. I'd used him in some things in the country music, but I sat down and I thought about that skit for a while. And most of the things that you see on my page, it's just all been ideas that I've had, and I go get Connor, and Connor's always so helpful. He's always willing to come out and do whatever I want him to do. I'll just say, here's what we're going to do, and he'll do it. And we have a tremendous amount of fun. But yeah, I would say most of it goes back to the early school days and just really loving creating content. I don't know. It's something that I've always really enjoyed.
Yeah, you can tell you're having a really great time, and that persona is a bit hilarious. How true is that of the real you, this persona? Is there bits of you in it? Is it like, are you opposite than this persona? Tell us more.
I would say, well, I think with the banjo, that is the image. Anybody that's not from the Southern United States and doesn't know anybody that plays the banjo, that is the first thing that they think of. They're like, okay, it is going to be some backwoods hillbilly that's probably illiterate. And, that's just what the stereotype is. So I did it in a way that people would recognize that's a mountain man, or that's somebody that's coming from the hills or something like that. But I've never made it a point to make, I guess, intelligence seem more dull, because when I first started putting out the Bluegrass videos, I expected comments like that. But what I came to find out was a lot of people said, this actually takes a tremendous amount of talent, which whether or not, that's not something that I took to heart personally. It was something that I found very interesting about the people, that they can recognize musical talent, that they can see a banjo and a bass, and for them to create music, people that are not from that background and know nothing about it still recognize it as talent, which I think is a step in the right direction. Because I did a college study. And so, of course, when Deliverance came out in 1972, that was when the image of the South really changed. And so since then, it's really been a joke on TV, or it's kind of been a struggle for people to take people from the Southern United States serious, because they just assume that we're all like that from Deliverance, when really what I decided to do was to start bringing some light to what it's really like being country on TikTok, being bluegrass on TikTok, and that you can be funny, you're real, you just have a good time. So that's kind of what I created as far as that persona on TikTok with the bluegrass portion. And then, of course, with the country stuff, I just dress normal. That's what I look like in shows. That's my true passion. But there are bits and pieces of the bluegrass persona that I would say is still me and Connor. Really, I mean, if you watch the bloopers that I've posted, there's not a lot that's different. We're very, very high energy. We're out there. We're pretty loud to be around. We just get out and have a good time. And so I would say there's not a whole lot that changes between the bluegrass persona and and I guess who I am, but you kind of bring it out a little extra. So it's a little, I would say maybe a little exaggerated from who we really are. But all in all, I mean, you put me and Connor in a room and you'll get something pretty similar probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like how you said a little extra, because that's exactly what I thought. But I said, this is a little extra that I absolutely love.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. We have fun.
Yes, you definitely have fun. And then all of these TikTok videos ended up landing a Mountain Dew commercial for you. Tell us how that happened.
Yeah. So it was a bluegrass video that I'd done. And it was a very old time bluegrass song that I decided to record called Good Old Mountain Dew. which of course in that song, it's like 100 years old. So they're talking about moonshine. But I put that out and I said, well, I guess we'll just kind of see how this goes. Not even thinking about the soda, not one bit. But I noticed in the comments, people started tagging Mountain Dew, and it was lots and lots of tags, and it got their attention. And they actually commented on the TikTok. It was a verified page for Mountain Dew. And I was like, oh my gosh. So jokingly, I kind of tagged them back and said, let's make a commercial. And it was within a week that I had actually received an official email from PepsiCo saying, we would like to pursue this. And they actually sent us a big box of gifts in the mail and a personalized letter that was, it was so cool. It said, Spencer and Connor, you guys are so awesome for doing this video. We think it's super cool. You could use this stuff to help you with your next video or something like that. And it was like Mountain Dew hat. They sent us like these huge Mountain Dew onesies, which I was like, well, that's kind of odd. It was still pretty cool just because it was a gift. But I was like, well, yeah. I guess I'll just hang this up. I don't know what to do with that. But then they sent us a huge crate of Mountain Dew Major Melon, which following the email, I come to find out that was what we would go on to promote. And so I guess that was part of their plan all along, but it was a tremendous experience. It was amazing to be able to work with them. I got to work with like big time people, with the photographers and videographers and stuff like that. And then the directors, the executives of Mountain Dew and PepsiCo. It was an amazing experience. And they were all the nicest people. They were so accommodating, anything that I needed. And they wanted me to be the person that in a way directed the video, that made it feel real and made it feel like me. So I was kind of with a little bit of, I guess, direction from the company, the overall, what they were looking for. Then they just let me take it from there. And the video did really, really well. And it was an amazing experience. It was once in a lifetime for a lot of people. I hope that we have that opportunity again to work with more companies like that.
Yeah. Where can we see this commercial? Can we see it anywhere? Did it just have a run and it's like over now? Or is it on social media somewhere?
Yeah, I think it's on their Instagram.
Okay.
I think it's on Mountain Dew's Instagram. It could be on YouTube. It wouldn't surprise me if it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
But
okay.
I believe it's still on their Instagram and Facebook, maybe.
Okay.
It aired August 3rd. That was when it was released. And we started this thing back in started talking about it in February. And it wasn't until August that it was done. So there was a lot of stuff that went into it. But August 3rd, if you go back to that time and look on Instagram or their Facebook, you could see some bits and pieces of it. It's pretty cool.
All right. I'm going to have to check that out. I have a few more questions about these gifts from Mountain Dew. I'm the oldest of 7. I've got 5 brothers, and they can love each other and they can also fight really well.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm wondering, we always had to, growing up with them, if the Ninja Turtles were big, we had to make sure everybody got Ninja Turtles. So that way there was no fighting. So I'm just wondering, in the box of gifts, was it 2 of everything, or were there some things where you and Connor had to talk about who was going to get what?
No, it was 2 of everything. That Mountain Dew was smart. I guess they knew 2 brothers. It's going to be a fight if they don't get one of, each one of them gets something. So yeah, they sent 2 of everything: 2 hats, 2 onesies. It was that big crate of Mountain Dew, and then a personalized letter to both of us from Mountain Dew, which was, it was awesome. So no fights came about there.
Okay,
it was good.
You can see it happening. So I think somebody knew what was up about brother relationships at Mountain Dew, I think.
Oh, I think so. And at that time, I'd already had one blooper video out. So I think they knew exactly how we acted off camera.
Love is strong. Brother love is strong. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Now, is your family musical, or where did all this musical talent come from?
Yeah, my family is very musical. My dad, he was in choir and in the musicals, and he played guitar and banjo. He's sang and been in choirs, I guess, since he was very young, 10 years old. And he's played the banjo and guitar since he was 19. My mom, she sang, of course, growing up in church, and then she played the piano and the organ. Fantastic pianist. My grandmother, she's a great pianist, a great singer. My granddad, he was a singer. Most of this was church singing. My dad, I guess, took it to the next level, and he was in some choirs, and he was in a band or two, bluegrass bands, but nobody's ever done country music. Nobody's really taken it to the level that I pushed it to. And that's just because it was my passion. I didn't want to do anything else, really. Once I decided music was what I was going to do, I didn't want to do anything else but music. So I started to really push it up to the next level. But my dad was always there. My whole family has been extremely, extremely supportive. They love it. They think it's great what I'm doing. And my dad, he's been there to help, which you see my dad in some of the videos. He's the other person that's, I guess, a little bit older than the rest of the people that I have on there. That's my dad. But anything that I need musically or need him to help me out with, he's there. Every single show that he's not on a trip flying, he's at. He comes to every single show, and he will run the sound, and I'll have him up from time to time to play a song or two just to show everybody what it was like 7, 8, and 9 years ago when we were just a bluegrass band. We had a family band originally, the Hatcher Boys. It was me and my dad, Connor, and then my older brother in the later years, the Hatcher Boys. And that took us a whole lot of places. That was our first experience of performing, really. We played hundreds of churches, lawn parties, fairs, festivals, stuff like that. And that took us a long way. And it got us, it got our toes wet in the music scene, performing, being in front of audiences. And it was a lot of very fond memories tied up in the family band. But then, of course, that ended when I went to college. But then as soon as I came back, my dad was like ready to just be there to help with anything I needed. And of course, my mother, she comes to as many shows as she can. My grandparents come to a tremendous amount of shows. So an extreme amount of support. And it takes a lot of support to believe that you can do something that a lot of people tell you can't. You'd be surprised how many people say you can't do it. But if you listen to them, I'd have quit after I posted the first video in April of 2020. I never would have done a second one because even then there were still people that say, you should just keep doing what you're doing, or, just practice business or go back to school, that kind of thing. And it's pretty hurtful, but you get used to it pretty quick, especially in social media. You get really used to it because for every one mean comment, you've like literally got 25, 30 or 50 great ones. Mm-hmm. And that one mean one, it's true. It does stick out and you think about it, but at the same rate, it's kind of like, well, what does this guy have going on that he's got to tell me a mean message and put me down while I'm trying to do something that I love? You can kind of justify it pretty easily, but support is a huge thing in music, and I've definitely got it. I've been very blessed to have a lot of people support me, and my fans are some of the most supportive fans in the world. Oh my gosh, they've got so much love for me and for what I'm doing that it 100% keeps driving me. There's no way I could ever quit this with people supporting me like this. I mean, I will do this as long as I possibly can. And, the goal is to take it as high as we can. I mean, we are shooting for the absolute top. I've got other people working for me now that's booking shows that are booking some bigger shows that I couldn't necessarily do. In the beginning, it was just me doing all the work. And it was a tremendous amount of work, the marketing, the booking, the calling, the creating posts, everything. It was just learning all the music, the words. So eventually I got my dad. I was like, Dad, I cannot do it all anymore. It's getting bigger than me and I can't really do it anymore. Would you be willing to help? And him with his full-time job, he said, absolutely. And so he started doing a lot of the booking while I was still doing the marketing and the music and everything. And we went from about 15 shows guaranteed last year at this time to we have over 90 shows confirmed and booked for this year. And that happened in a year. So it's pretty amazing. And next year, I'm really hoping for the next step, the big step being, an opening act for some really large country artists and bigger fairs, bigger festivals. But we've got some really exciting things for this year. I mean, I can't wait. And I'm amazed at how fast everything has happened from looking back August 2nd or August 7th of 2020 to where we are now, March of 2022. And we've got over 90 shows confirmed. It's insane to me, but it's fantastic. And I couldn't have done it without the support that I had.
Yeah, your dad sounds like an excellent booker.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, he does well. Well, he and I together, I still book some shows, but he really helped me out a lot. And I'd say he and I together, we're booking about 4 shows every single week. So the schedule's filling up really, really fast. And he's done a fantastic job. Like I said, anything that I need, I just call him up. I say, here's what my next plan is, or here's where I'd like to head this direction. He's on board totally. And it's great to have team members like I have. It's gone from just a 3-person thing. Now it shows we have 7 or 8 people between helping run the sound, the lights, the merch table, the music, everything. I've created more of a team now, and it's fantastic. I mean, I certainly couldn't do it without them.
Yeah. You guys do a really great job. I'm wondering if you play, I know you write some of your own music, but you're also doing cover band music. What is the percentage, of cover band music you perform versus original music?
Yeah, I'd say it's probably like 85-15, probably. It's not a tremendous amount of original material yet.
Okay.
I've wrote probably 12 to 15 songs. I do not perform them all because then it would be about 33% original, but I only perform maybe 4 or 5 original songs, which I love the songs that I've wrote. I guess I'm biased, of course, but I like, I don't know how much I necessarily love just the song, but I really think there's something special about being in front of an audience and singing a song that you wrote. That appreciation, that applause after that song is sung is different than the applause after a cover song, because it's yours and people show their appreciation for it. And that's really something that has been amazing to me. And so my goal for 2022, the rest of this year, is to write more original music. And I have finished 2 songs so far this year, and one people seem to really, really love. They really say a lot of great things about it. And so I think I would like to record that. I'd like to record that song and just kind of see how it would do. Cause I actually have no music out right now for anyone to listen to. And there's partially a reason for that. But I'm kind of getting tired of not having music out. I want to take that next step also and get in the recording studio and go ahead and start recording some songs so that the fans and the public have music to listen to. Cause I think there's a lot of benefits that come with putting music out as well. So I've got a lot of big plans as far as original material for 2022, but right now, yeah, it's a lot of cover songs, but I also kind of target some songs that people have forgotten about. So it kind of sets you apart in a way because they're like, oh yeah, I remember that song. that one was 1985 or something like that. People have that memory strike back when I sing it, but it's not a song that a lot of people cover. So if I'm not going to be singing all original material, I'd like to do some covers that were still big songs, but few are willing to cover them.
Yeah, that's really great. What are some of your, well, before I ask this question, I don't want to forget that I wanted to ask, what is the name of the song that people really like?
It's called Drink You Gone.
What is it called?
It's called Drink You Gone.
Drink You Gone. Okay, great. Yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of amazed too. I was like, well, that's really a country title. I was like, there's no way that's not already a country song, but I got it copyrighted in it. It came back that is not a song.
Great.
So that was amazing for me. I was like, awesome. I got my first really official song. I wrote my first song in college, and I got to experiment some with songwriting, because I also took a songwriting class that was beneficial for sure. But I've wrote some songs that I'm pretty happy with, and people say they like, but then once I wrote Drink You Gone, it seemed like a lot of people were like, now that is a real song. So out of the 12 or 15 songs I've wrote, Drink You Gone is more so my number one choice. And so if I could write like 30 more Drink You Gones, then I think we'd really have a long lasting career.
I think so too. How did you come up with the inspiration for that song? Is it from a personal experience or?
Yeah, it was. A lot of these songs that I write, they've got there's something generally that's occurred in my life that will give me the thought initially, or I can relate to. And so in that case, Drink You Gone, when I started writing it, I think that there was some inspiration there for it. But a lot of times what I'll do is I'll start writing a song, and there is, I don't know, I just kind of get lost in the direction. And so I'll set it down for a while. Well, I picked it up like 2 months ago and just finished it all in a day. But I'd started it probably like a year ago or so. Year and a half ago, something like that. And so, yeah, I guess most of the songs that I write, there's inspiration for. I'll dig back through some old feelings or memories that I have, and you can really put it down on paper. And I think a tremendous amount of people would be able to relate to that song.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. I can tell that it has a lot of passion in it. So.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I can't wait to get in the studio and record it. Just see how large of a song we can make this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really bring it to life.
Yeah, bring it to life. I'm looking forward to that. Who are the musical greats that have influenced you the most?
Yeah, that's pretty easy for me. Number one and foremost is Elvis Presley. I absolutely love Elvis. I have studied him, not so much just like I think most people. When I study something, I mean, I like obsess over it, and I dive in and I learn everything that I possibly can. And I study the really small things. And with Elvis, a lot of people say, well, I like his hair, or he would do the lip thing. I don't even notice that kind of thing anymore. What I saw was the immense amount of musical talent that he had, the way that his vibrato is, the way that he says his words and pronounces certain syllables and words while he's singing, stuff like that is what I really dove into and studied. And he was, in a way, he's really helped me with music, because I think I started listening to Johnny Cash and really enjoyed Johnny Cash, but Johnny Cash is not the most musical man in the world, a fantastic poet. But as far as a singer, he did more talking and storytelling than he did singing. But Elvis, oh my gosh. I mean, it was just when I really dove into some of his songs that people don't recognize as his big ones, like Hound Dog and Jailhouse Rock. I couldn't tell you the last time that I listened to those songs, but when you listen to his version of other covers like Honky Tonk Angel, people probably don't even know that Elvis did that one, or some of those other old kind of hidden songs. I just love the way that Elvis would do it. And, you know, I've watched interviews talking about how he's learned to sing, stuff like that. So Elvis was definitely a huge one for me, and definitely the most significant, I would say. But as far as country artists, Garth Brooks, he was another one that I really, really enjoyed. I didn't know much about him. And then once I started studying, I really liked the way that he sings. Of course, Johnny Cash. Newer artists, I really think a lot of John Party. I think he's really doing some good things for country music. He's not really changing the direction that it's heading so much as he is keeping it. You've got to be musically inclined to play a John Party song. And he keeps it Western and country. I really like that. And Luke Combs. I think Luke Combs is really doing some fantastic things for country music. I like Morgan Wallen's songs, but I would struggle calling them country. They are kind of their own thing. I think that they're great songs, but as far as the country genre and the things that I'm trying to go to, I'm trying to do more stuff like Luke Combs, where you write about real things in the country and real life stuff, you know, like Forever After All and Beautiful Crazy. Those kind of songs are songs that people can really relate to. It's got a really solid tune to. So yeah, I like them. Randy Travis was a huge one, but my all-time favorite country artist is Keith Whitley. It's another guy not many people like anymore, or even know of, I should say. Hank Jr., Keith Whitley, and probably Randy Travis are my top three favorite country artists. But Keith Whitley, I did to him very similar to what I did to Elvis. Was I really dove in. You can't find a ton on Keith Whitley because he was big for 3 years and then he died. And it was terrible. But his vocal control was the thing that really grabbed me, because he has vibrato and vocal movements like no one else in country. There is not a single other artist that could do what Keith Whitley did with his voice. And I just really liked it. You know, he had like 3 back-to-back number ones and then he died. And it was like, gosh, could you imagine if he would have kept living? Because he'd worked his whole life, very similar to me, actually. Me and Keith Whitley have, I guess, somewhat of a similar story. He started out in bluegrass too. When he was very young, he started in bluegrass, and then he landed a big time professional spot with Ralph Stanley, and then went from Ralph to JD Crowe. And then from JD Crowe, he went to country. And there in country, I think he switched to country in 1984. And it wasn't until 1987 where he had his first big hit, Don't Close Your Eyes, which I'm sure you know that one. And that was a tremendous song. And then he had Miami, Miami, and I'm No Stranger to the Rain. They were all big number ones. And then 1989, he died. And that was it. But to study those artists between Elvis, Keith Whitley, Randy Travis, Hank Jr., I'd say those are the people that really influenced me. And I learned most of everything that I've learned vocally and country music wise was just from watching other artists. It didn't come from somebody that I worked with or lessons or anything like that, because those were very short lived. But my studying of other artists has been for a long time.
Lots of time in that. How much time would you say you put into music per week? Or is it better to say per day? Is that easier to think about?
Well, I guess it kind of depends on the day. If we look back to when or if you just take the average day where I'm trying to learn a new song.
Right.
Well, would you say that the business side of it counts as well?
I would.
Okay, then I would say 5-6 hours every single day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
There is no break. There's no break anytime that you run your own business. You know, you're always doing something. And this is not just like a music show anymore. I've incorporated the company, NBTB LLC, and I've got people working for me. I've got all sorts of things. So I'm always on the phone. I'm always booking shows. I'm always reaching out. I'm always marketing. I'm always doing, I mean, literally, you could just go ahead and say 12, 14 hours a day. I'm always doing something for music. If I have something popped in my head, I'm doing it. I live to work and I live for music. So it's pretty much all day long. But as far as like strictly learning new material, which maybe people would be interested in too, like how long do you sit down and just sing a song? I would say probably hour and a half at a time. I'll sit there and just work and sing, get up, go do something else. Cause that does kind of drain you. You know, it's kind of like reading a book after an hour and a half, 2 hours reading a book. Sometimes you want to get up and like stretch for a minute. And then I'll come back. But if it's a song that I really like obsess over and I want to learn it like right now, I will sing it. I will sit there and sing it until I can sing it without the words and without the chords. 3 hours, 4 hours. Every single Wednesday, I've got my band in an all-day practice. So we'll practice on average 6 hours from start to finish every single Wednesday. And in between the week's practices, we've got 2 and 3 shows. And I'm also sending them new material to start working on before the next practice. So like I said, it's all week. It's all week and it's all day, especially for me. But when you love it and when it's 100% what you want to do, it's not work. I mean, it's fun. And I absolutely love it.
I can tell that. Have you ever thought about auditioning for a show like The Voice or America's Got Talent? Maybe get in front of Blake Shelton, maybe? I think he'd love you.
I have. I've thought about that so many times. And honestly, it terrifies me to think of it. I used to do competitions. I used to do a lot of, I mean, I don't know. It's odd. People's like, you mean you play in front of all these audiences and you would be scared to sit in front of 3 people? And I'm like, yes, because it is 3 people that I admire a tremendous amount. And I think the world of, and they're in the position that I am working for. And if I went up on stage and just kind of like botched it, which I don't know. I don't know. I guess it's scary until you start prepping for it. But yes, I have done a lot of thinking about it. I had the executive producer of America's Got Talent contact me, and I had a big producer for American Idol contact me. It was just their social media pages. I mean, they sent me a message personally and they said, we want you on the show. And I wound up kind of turning them both down because America's Got Talent, I started to pursue. It was earlier on in the TikTok recognition, I guess you would say. I was having some of my first viral videos, and they were contacting me about coming and being on the show. But what I come to find out was with America's Got Talent, I think I almost would have been more so comic relief in between the acts that they wanted to see make it to the finals. I don't know if they would have pushed us to the finals, which I have no interest in making a joke out of myself or my music. So of course I was like, well, I'm not going to do it, because I also was not going to be wearing Daisy Dukes on America's Got Talent. I wasn't going to be doing any of that. I would have taken it very, very seriously and wanted to have an honest shot at the end. But I don't think that's what they were looking for. I think they wanted something that would have just heightened their show. Could have still won, I guess, but that's not what I'm pushing. I'm pushing country music, not bluegrass. Even though every single show we will perform bluegrass music. We will always do a bluegrass section because I still love bluegrass, but I'm a country artist. I write country. Everybody in the band is country. Bluegrass is just a 5, 6, 7 song segment that I do towards the end of the show that everybody still loves. But, country music is what we're really passionate about. American Idol, they asked me to be on the show, and I got a little extra information from them. But I think that the time that they were wanting me to come to, I don't remember if it was North Carolina or if it was Richmond, but it was pretty soon. And I was just thinking, man, I don't know. I mean, it would be fun. I think I would really enjoy it, but it would be terrifying as well. And I don't know, maybe that's in a way, one thing that's kind of kept me from it was just the thought of being in front of some really, really big people. I don't know. I mean, I know you've got to make it to the end. So of course I would do everything I could to get just in front of them. But the other thing that comes along with those game shows is like 2 and 3 year exclusive contracts at the end. And because I have seen and I have read some of the contracts, and I don't particularly care to be locked into a contract for 2 years when I'm doing what I'm doing now based off of my own judgment and what I want to do. I think it would be great to go and sing in front of Blake Shelton or Luke Bryan and Katy Perry and Lionel Richie. But yeah, I don't know. I think too many times you hear of such great artists going on the show and then they win or they get second place and then you never, ever hear from them again. And I don't particularly care to be that person, because I feel like once you've been on those shows, sometimes you peak and then people's like, well, show's over. Glad this person won. Too bad they didn't. Oh, well. And then that's all the more that they take. Whereas I feel like in my position, when you make your own musical decisions and you can stay relevant through your own videos, through your own choices and doing your own things, what I have found is that has been a little bit more successful than going really, really big all at once and then falling off.
I see. Yeah.
Maybe it's more of a fear of mine. I'm not certain. Would I do it? Yes. But it would take convincing probably. I'd really have to look into it.
Okay. Well, you keep looking at it. I love the voice. I do think Blake Shelton would love you. I think you would definitely get a vote from him.
Well, I would love Blake Shelton. I mean, that'd be really something.
Yeah. That would be really exciting. Well, Spencer, what is coming up for you in the next few months that we can share with the Laughers so they can keep an eye out for you? What's coming up?
Oh my, we've got a lot of things coming up. We will be at the Tucker County Fair in West Virginia. We are going to be opening for T. Graham Brown in West Virginia in May. And all of this is on my website, spencerhatchermusic.com. But we will be doing the West Virginia State Fair. We'll be doing the Prince William County Fair opening for Tracy Bird. We've got all sorts of stuff like that. We're going to be at some bigger breweries. We're looking at going all the way up to Indiana, actually, and playing a county fair there, which that's going to be a long haul, 10 hours one way, 10 hours back. But we're very, very excited for that. That'll be really cool. And we're going to be at the Loudoun County Fair, playing a lot of local fairs, but we landed the West Virginia State Fairs, so that was a huge thing for me. I was very excited for that. So, yeah, we're doing a lot of bigger fairs and stuff, and opening for Tracy Bird. I'd say that's probably the biggest thing. Cannot wait for that. August 18th, I think tickets go on sale then for that event. I believe May 2nd.
Okay.
But everything will be listed on my website, especially spencerhatchermusic.com, where they can see where we're going to be at all the time locally in the area, or maybe if they're in a different state closer to them.
Okay. Yeah. Is that the best way that they can follow you? Like your social media is connected to your website, I saw. Is that the best way for them to find out everything, is to go to spencerhatchermusic.com, or what other ways can they plug into you?
Yeah. spencerhatchermusic.com. I've got everything listed on there. All the events. I've got my merchandise listed on there. The shop. I've got where we're going to be at, all the shows, upcoming stuff. Everything's on my website. I'm also very, very active on Facebook. I've got an official music page there, Spencer Hatcher Music. It's the page. You just hit the like button and I guess it's the follow, and they'll always know where we're going to be at, Spencer Hatcher Music. I'm very, very active on Facebook. Instagram, I'll post on there from time to time, and my handle on there is at shatch97. I need to change that to just being my full name as well. But I post on there a lot about shows that we're doing or shows that we did. I keep the stories updated there. So, and then of course, I don't post too much on TikTok other than content, but if they're not following me on TikTok, they need to follow at Spencer Hatcher on TikTok. And they can still kind of see where we're at in the fields and around the farm and stuff like that. But yeah, I would say that the website, SpencerHatcherMusic.com, is the best place they can go to.
Okay, great. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Spencer. This has been such a good time being with you. I loved hearing all about your story and what you're up to. I very much look forward to following your success. Thanks so much again for coming on the show today. This has been super great.
Well, Dawn, thank you so much for having me. It's been a tremendous time and an honor being on your podcast. So thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you, Spencer. Laughers, you can follow Spencer on his social media, his popular TikTok account at Spencer Hatcher. You can book him for your event or see him perform live at an upcoming event. And you can get all those details on his website at SpencerHatcherMusic.com. That's SpencerHatcherMusic.com to grab all that info. And we'll be sure to put this information in the show notes for you as well. And lastly, and most importantly, thanks for tuning in, Laughers. Out of all the podcasts out there, you picked us, and we think that's pretty darn special, just like you. Until next time, keep smiling. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Virginia is for Laughers podcast, brought to you by X2 Comedy. We'll be dropping a new podcast every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so check back for another uplifting episode. Come to an X2 Comedy show or let us bring a show to you. To find out more, head to x2comedy.com. Be sure to share us with a friend. Until next time, cheers.